it would start with that, like kind of, oh, you did this really well or this really well. And then she'd say something like, okay, what do you think you could have done better about? Or she'd say something like, what about that bunt? And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I know I was too slow or I didn't set my feet. And just kind of create an environment where it was okay to talk about what we did wrong, you know? And it was okay, not so much like you messed up, you suck. It was like, what would you have done differently? Or what do you want to do next time? And so kind of flipping the script on like the long car ride home, which there's always going to be a couple bad ones, you know,
of course,
where
you're
you don't
crying.
want to talk about it. Exactly. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Please just leave me alone. But I don't know. My mom's just always been really good at, you know, being our biggest fan. And then also because she's our biggest fan, because we know that she believes in us and we know that like she wants everything that we've ever said that we want for us, that like that kind of gives her the privilege, the opportunity, the permission is what I'm trying to say, like to kind of speak that criticism into our lives as well. But if it's all criticism, your kid's not going to respond.
Right.
If it's all bad, heavy, they're not going to take it. But if it's the praise, you know, the good stuff, or just like positive criticism where it's like, hey, I saw what you were trying to do there, but this is what we actually want to do, then the criticism's easier to take. Yeah. I don't know. There was that video of LeBron with his kid a couple years ago that went viral, or maybe it was last year, where he's talking to his son about his game. And I remember watching that being like, that's what it's supposed to be like. Here's LeBron, like one of the best basketball players to ever play the game. And he's at his kid's game and he goes, oh, hey, like you did so great on this, this, and this, and this. And he's pumping him up. And he goes, hey, but on that one, like you gotta give the ball up or whatever. I don't even know what he said. I don't really know basketball that well. But just, I remember watching that and being like, that's what it's supposed to be like. The criticism is so much easier to take when you know that you're believed in, when you know that the good things that you did are seen. My mom just really fostered this like big picture mentality. You know, she's really good at kind of casting this vision of, okay, I see you can do this. If you have this goal, let's look at the baby steps to get there. And let's kind of like really believing in my big dreams while also being very realistic about like, okay, that's going to require X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to that? You know, so, but with that said, I don't like with that big picture mentality, it was always like, okay, if I lost in a competition, like, yeah, that sucks. Like nobody likes to lose, but being able to take that and learn from it. So I feel like I learned that skill at a very young age of really making losses and failures count and not just be something that like weighs on me and like, I didn't like that. That was no fun. And as opposed to just being like, okay, well, I need to be better here and here. The role of a catcher, literally, in my opinion, is whatever your team needs you to be, particularly your pitcher, figure out a way to be that while maintaining who you are. Like and that's been a journey that I've been on, especially the last few years, of like, okay, this pitcher needs this from me, but how do I do that as Aubree? Because I've done it the other way where I'm like, she needs to do this, and then all of a sudden I'm not doing what I do well. I'm not being the person that is unique and like bringing what I bring as Aubree, like the intangibles about me that make me great at what I do. So I say like being what they need you to be while maintaining who you are. That's been like the newest aspect of this, because I just think it's important that we don't lose ourselves in the process. And that's all part of just human interaction and getting to know people and the ebb and flow of being with teammates and figuring out how to work together. I've been really, really passionate the last like year and a half to 2 years of just trying to get catchers to understand how important they are, because we don't get a lot of acknowledgement. And so it's this balance between serving your team, serving your pitchers with a humble heart, because that's kind of what's required of you, but also being really confident in what you bring, that you can be a game changer with how you receive. Getting strikes for your pitchers is like the most underrated thing about a catcher ever. And it's like, I just stretched the zone like 6 inches. Now you don't even have to throw over the plate. We are winning. And I know hitters hate that, but it's like, that's my job.
Yeah.
If I can take a hitter out of their approach, that we're winning. AU was a really interesting experience. It was I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the opportunity. One, it was like, I've been missing softball. I've been missing my teammates. And I just had 6 weeks of nothing but softball and playing with my teammates and seeing friends that I've played against and with and over the years. And so it was so much fun to just like have that kind of time, because that's not something we usually get. And considering what this year was supposed to be, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like everything I needed.
Yeah. You got
It
your
was
softball
challenging
fix.
though. Yes. It was really challenging though, like kind of getting used to that system. It's a very offensive system. Like there's no defensive points, which I'm like, I knew that going in, and I was like, okay, I got to chill because I'm a defensive player for the most part. Like I can
Right.
hit, but I'm not like, that's not my jam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always kind of grinding for that. And I knew that going in, and I got a couple weeks in and I'm like, I'm not chill. I'm not being chill about this. Like it was just different. But I did enjoy it, and I would totally do it again. It was a great challenge, especially this year. I feel like it challenged me in other ways of just like, okay, this is what I needed. I needed some of this stuff exposed in me so that I can be better for 2021 now. And I can be like a better hitter, a better teammate, a better whatever. And, but I really enjoyed getting to know the people.
Mm.
Like pretty much everybody in that league, like we all knew of each other. There's people I used to play with. I was so excited to get to catch Julie again. I love her. I love catching her. I love working with her. That was one of the things I was most excited about going into the league. And we got to be on the same team for 2 weeks. And it was like just so much fun to be able to like just work with her through stuff. And then getting to know a lot of the Team Mexico players, getting to know some of the Canada players. I already knew Stelly from Italy, but just like, I don't know, it was fun. It was just we were in a bubble basically. So it was like hang out or don't, like you can't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really enjoyed getting to know people in a way that I probably never would have. And I was really bummed. Obviously I was really bummed when the Olympics got postponed. I was just like not in a really good mood about it. I totally understood why. I mean, I'm not naive to think that it would have been a bad idea to play the Olympics this summer, but but I was still like in a bad mood about it. And now after getting to know more Team Mexico players, more Team Canada players, like I just feel like the experience now is going to be so much richer.
Yeah.
Which is like this weird kind of backwards blessing of like how I was so bummed, so like not understanding, because I wouldn't have played AU if I played the Olympics. Like the schedules were fine, but I was going to be like, I need a break. I am not touching a softball.
Yeah.
So the only reason I played AU is because the Olympics got postponed. And now I feel like it's going to make my Olympic experience richer. Mm-hmm. I struggled a lot my freshman year. And that is a large part because I didn't really know who I was. My identity struggled a lot because I was not performing the way that I had expected myself to perform. Yeah. At Florida, I had these high hopes of I'm going to be an impact player. I'm going to get to college and Tim Walton is going to make me a great hitter overnight, which is in hindsight stupid. But at the time I was like, I'll be great. It's all good. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I spent most of that year struggling, not feeling strong enough, not understanding why I'm being told I'm one of the best defensive catchers in the country, but not really getting any innings or any opportunities. In the moment, I was getting just like so frustrated and I didn't know who I was. And then I would get opportunities and I would do things that I never do, like drop pop-ups. I had more pass balls in my first weekend as a Gator than I had my whole 3 years of travel ball before that.
Wow.
So I'm like, the things that okay, whatever, if I'm not hitting great, but like, this is what I do, this is who I am. And then I really struggled with like, do I belong here? I was hitting on the off day, and because I was raised to work hard, if I'm struggling, like you got to put in the work. And also if Coach Walton asked me, I didn't want to lie. So I was just like hitting and then nothing felt good. It was just kind of that place where you're like, this doesn't even feel like my body. This is pointless. I'm over this. And I started walking. I picked everything up. I went back to the locker room and I started crying on the way to the locker room. And I just was like, I finally just kind of like gave it up. I was like, okay, God, I can't do this anymore. Take over. My life is yours. Like I've been trying everything and nothing's working. And I was crying, but through that moment, it was the first time all year at Florida that I felt like I could take a deep breath.
Wow.
Yeah. Like in that kind of like truly like a broken feeling, like, whoa, I can take a deep breath. And like, it's not like everything turned around and I'm like, oh, I'm playing great now. Like, no, it freed me up and made me stop caring so much what Coach Walton thought, and, you know, stop putting these expectations on myself. I was able to like leave the field and just be like, okay, so I've got a lot more purpose than just playing softball. I think part of it was being out of state. Like, I grew up in California, and so going to Florida, like, I chose Florida for softball. So I kind of weirdly subconsciously got in my head that, like, I'm here to play softball, and if I'm not doing that well, like, I don't have purpose. And so through that, I started seeing some changes in myself to make stuff count. Like, okay, I'm struggling, I'm not playing great, but in my failure, I have an opportunity to be a good teammate. I have an opportunity to still be positive. I have an opportunity to show people that my identity is not in this. And I'm saying that as someone who loves the game. Like, I love the game. I love seeing it played well. I love playing it well. Like, but I just feel like I had a real big lesson in identity that year in a very like dramatic way for me. And so kind of just carrying that through the rest of my career, it affected how I wanted other freshmen to come in. So I was able to use my experience as like, okay, it's okay. Like, if you're struggling, don't worry about it.